Hello. I have you guys all muted, so I can't hear everyone right now. Let's see here. Can everyone hear me? Good? All right. Okay, so what we are going to do is I'm going to go through the Return to Learn plan. And I know a lot of you have probably read it, and there's changes. There will probably continue to be changes as little things come up, and we do everything we can to solve just about every little thing that we thought of, but things come up. Lots of people joining in. I'm just going to give it a few minutes here as people are pouring in.
Okay. I'm just gonna not put us on video.
Still waiting. Got a lot of people kind of joining, so just give it a couple more minutes here. That way I don't have most people on here. Okay. All right, so we got about 60 participants on this, so it looks like we got a full house. Thank you guys so much for joining. I am going to go ahead and share my screen, and then I'm going to just lead with a prayer, and then we'll get right into this. Thank you for waiting. All right, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God, we ask that you pour down your Holy Spirit on all of us in the Xavier Catholic Schools community, especially the parents that are sending their children to school, the teachers that are coming each and every day. We ask that you fill our hearts with grace, with peace, and we ask that you give us the courage to trust in you each and every step of the way, Even though we don't know what tomorrow brings and how this year will unfold, we know that through you, all things are possible and your will be done. We know this is a difficult time for parents, for teachers, and for kids. Anxiety is high, and we just really need your guidance throughout this entire year. We ask that you bless our school, you bless everyone in it, you bless this meeting so that we can come out with fruitful knowledge of the year, come out feeling more, a little more resolve, and give us more courage as we head into just 4 or 5 days from now. We ask this in your precious name. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining. How this is going to work, because we have a multitude of different questions, and I'm sure, I kind of want to go through the Return to Learn plan. And then as I go, I would like you guys to type in questions. And then I have Diane Clark and then Angie Cummings, who is our lead teacher this year. I'm going to have them kind of monitor those in the chat box, and I will refer to those as well. So I will get to them as soon as I can, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. So I'm going to kind of skip over the first couple pages just so we can get kind of to the meat and potatoes. And one of the big questions that a lot of families have kind of asked is just the general overview of scheduling and how that will look, right? We are working on a schedule right now, or a graphic that will kind of outline what Monday is going to look like, what next week will look like, to kind of help ease your kids and you as well. So these are the reasons why we selected this model. I'm not going to go through each and every reason, but the number one reason I would say is for health and safety, but also for social and emotional well-being. Right now, currently, we have less than 10% of our families that are choosing the online option, which means the vast majority of our kiddos will be in the building. And that's right around, I think, 250, 260-ish, and we're still getting a couple more as they fill out e-registration. So essentially less than 10% right now that are online. Okay, so a daily schedule will be a block schedule. If you go into Power School, you may notice that there are, we've kind of had some issues with there not being band or choir. Does that mean there's not band or choir? No, we will add that to Power School after the first week. If your child is interested in being in band and choir, we ask that you send an email to Missy as well as to Angie and Kelly Nachman. If you're brand new and you have no idea who those people are, just email me and I will make sure that we get that handled, okay? So no worries on that. 90-minute class periods each day. This will include lunch, prayer, and general announcements. So 8 classes are split up. Monday is a goal day, I believe, and that will mean that your child will have 2, 4, 6, and 8. Each grade will be limited to 1 essential class, like we talked about. Each grade has groups, and in those groups of kids, they are with that same group of kid. One common question that I've had come in a lot is, can we move cohorts? Can we switch that? We want to switch. Once we start school, that's the cohort. We really do not want to switch. We put a lot of time in trying to make sure we have these groups put together based on one of the number one reasons why we grouped them the way we did was due to our math ability. And so that way math classes run at an equal pace. However, we do know that as we get more students, because we've had some students come in, we are going to need to cap those classes. So we really would like to cap that at around 25 kids per cohort. We really do not want to get it larger than that. And a lot of that just has to do with the size of some of the rooms that they are in. And when I'm done kind of going through this, I'm actually going to take you through the building and I'm going to show you what a classroom looks like. Lockers will be zip tied. When students get here, we would ask that, they carry their backpack. They're not going to have to carry your books in their hands or anything like that. They can just have their backpack on. I kind of talked about, most classes will be in the same classroom. When I say most, if you go PE and art will be in the gym, art will be in the art room. Where kids sit, they will be sitting or next to the same people that they are next to in their cohorts. So that way we know for contact tracing, if someone is to get a positive COVID-19 diagnosis, that we can track that. And then I'm just going to put our chat real quick. Okay, we'll keep moving. Our choir and our band room are now classrooms, and so I'll show you how that looks. Smaller ensembles are going to be what band and choir looks like for those in the building. For kids that are online, they will not be able to participate in a small group ensemble, but they will still be doing maybe solo work, individual lessons, those types of things. Our goal is to have a coffee house format for a concert, like an online concert for showcase. And so that's our plan for those that are in band. Teachers will rotate to each class, and they will have about 5 minutes to transition to the next cohort classroom. Like I said, the only time that kids will be moving in the day would be to lunch, and if they have PE or if they have art. Computers will come to them. Also, if they have music, they will need to go to either the band room or the choir room for music. Each cohort will take the name of a saint and will have a symbol and colors to identify their cohort. These will be identifiers that will help instill a sense of community, and will also be an identifier for us to know how our kids are grouped and which kids are next to each other. As you guys know, one concern is, okay, not every desk is 6 feet apart. That's correct. We are not able to get every single desk 6 feet apart, which is why we have dividers in our classroom, which is also why we are having an all mask mandate for everyone, okay? And that is due to not being 6 feet apart, which the CDC recommends. So we wanna have as many mitigation strategies in place to make sure our kids are safe, and of course, to stay open as long as we can. Let's see here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick. Okay. Show choir has been moved to the spring. Yep. We do not start until Tuesday. That's correct. Jacqueline, no. Wow. All right, Angie, you're on it. Angie's already answering these. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, we'll just have you keep doing that and I'll keep talking. Does that sound good? All right. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for your patience with me. Appreciate it. All right. All right. So our online model. So like I said, we have less than 10% right now. Students that choose this model, we will be working 100% online from home and not in the building. This has been a question I've gotten a lot. If I want to go see, my grandma or, my brother, and they live out of town and we're going to be gone for a week, can my son or daughter do the online option for that week? The answer is no. This is not in place for convenience sake. This is in place specifically for those that do not feel safe to come into the building, and also for those that are quarantining or isolated at home, okay? The online option is for those reasons only. Now, attendance is taken, work is graded. Yep, we'll talk more about that. Okay, so synchronous means everyone is in like the Zoom at one time, the teacher's talking and everyone is in. Asynchronous means it's like independent work. Someone might be watching, the kids might be watching a recording and then doing their own assignment on their own and then checking back. There's going to be a little bit of a combination of that, and I'll talk more how that will look. So Google Classroom is the learning management system that will be used. Zoom is going to be providing direct instruction from teacher to those who are remote. Please be patient on the wireless microphone. So on the first couple days, we're just going to ask that our teachers be as loud as they can for those kids that are online. It is difficult for those students to talk back to the teacher. They have to type their questions in. And that is kind of how things are right now. And we're trying to find as many solutions as we can. That's one of the reasons why we want to have kids that are online involved in the cohort, so we can try to get that kid involved. He's a part of that community. We don't want to just have those students alienated from the rest of their peers, because ultimately, if they do come back to class, we want them a part of the full community. What we will probably do most likely is every teacher will record at least one of their lessons and post on Google Classroom, in addition to live streaming their classes. Okay. That way, for families that, if they're your family is isolated or even quarantined, and you guys have to stay home from work and the schedules are a little different, and you're not able to attend that exact Zoom for that class, that way there is that option for you. Someone's on an iPad, and I think, did someone make a, hold on. All right, we're good. Sorry about that. Okay, so if the work is not turned in, let's go back here. Sorry.
Mr. Redis,
Yes.
you have some people in your waiting room, or your waiting room to get in.
Okay, thank you.
You can let them in.
Yep, thank you. Angie, do you have this up? Could you share your screen? You don't? Okay. All right, I got it. That way I could make sure everyone's in the, okay. All right, so I left off with assignments and grading are consistent with those in the building. I talked about Zoom lessons and how there will be a combination of recorded. We will have a combination of both. For attendance is going to be taken for each class based on if the student is showing up on Zoom, okay? Now, for certain situations, there will be a possibility that if a student is isolated or a student is quarantined, they're not able to attend, which is why we will have a recorded lesson on Google Classroom for those students if they miss the live session. I talked about this already. Students using the online model is still part of the Regis community. Royal time, like I said, you will have plenty of time for questions. I just kind of want to breeze through this real quick because most of you have had plenty of time to read this, so I'm not going to go word for word, so we have time for questions. Okay, so here is where a lot of questions do come in. What determines if we go to a full school online learning. And I will tell you, if our county, Lynn County, has positivity rates of 15%, which I think last time I checked, we were around 8 or 9, and we have a 10% absenteeism rate, which means that, let's say we have 260 kids that are supposed to be in this building, right? They chose the on-site model. If 10% of those kids are gone for COVID-related reasons, such as being isolated or quarantined, then we will go to the state and we will be granted a waiver and still be allowed to count our minutes. And that would allow us to then move and transition to all online. As of now, we would keep the same schedule for our teachers, and that way we know which class is which. Does that mean we will do full 90 minutes right now? That might be a little large, as we know that there might be some situations that change if we were to go all online in terms of family situations and those types of things, which is why we ask for your patience that might change, okay? But we're going to do everything we can to have our teachers consistently Zoom our students. All right, so health and safety. I did talk about this. It's incredibly important to us that face masks are worn by all students appropriately. So we don't want kids wearing them like this or like this. You know, they need to be over their nose and their mouth. They must be within 6 feet on as much as they can. And that is why when we go outside for breaks, which we will try to go outside for breaks, and we even have a brain break after lunch where kids will be able to go outside, students can have their masks off, but they will be 6 feet away from each other. Okay, so the only exception if someone is not to wear a mask is you have to wear a face covering regardless if you were in this building, okay? We are asking that the only exception to wear just a face shield is if you have a doctor's note, okay? If you have asthma or if there's a medical condition that we need to make a medical plan with our nurse, Cassie Wessels, then we will do that. Otherwise, a mask is required. And why is a mask required? For those reasons that I mentioned earlier, of not being able to effectively get 6 feet in every single one of our classes. And also, a lot of science shows that there is a lot of weight behind masks. And I want to be in the building, and I know our kids want to be in the building, and we want to be in the building as long as we can. So I would rather put as many mitigation things in as place at first, and in hopes that you know, possibly these things lighten up a little bit. Let's just pray that things can go back to normal. Okay, with dress code. Dress code's the exact same as it always is for all those kids in the building, okay? The only difference is a mask, okay? If your child is having a problem wearing the mask, we will ask that they go home and that they do the online version. Kind of like the sign, no shirt, no service, no mask, no education in the building. We're going to ask that you go online. This is really serious. We have staff and kids that are immunocompromised, that have families that are immunocompromised, and we take this really serious. Now, with face shields, we do have some students, if we have students that have hearing impairments, and for those students, we are asking that our teachers use, when they teach, they'll be at the front of the room, 6 feet apart from the front desk, and we are allowing them to use their face shields. And when they do that, they'll take their mask off, okay, to give direct instruction. And then when they go up to help students, we're going to ask that they put their mask back on. So we might have, you know, some of our teachers that'll have, you know, their mask like down like this, and I don't have my face shield on me. And then when they go to help a student, they'll put it up like this. And I'll go into a classroom and show you what that will look like. All right, facilities and cleaning. We go through Midwest Janitorial. We have 2 staff or Midwest Janitorial staff right now that are cleaning our building. We take cleaning very seriously. We're sanitizing constantly. Aaron Schultz at Midwest Janitorial manages our building. Him, as well as Greg Flanagan, is our day custodian, and he does a really good job of taking care of the building as well. We're going to be constantly monitoring the air quality and conditions within the classrooms and changing the filters. Also, there's studies that show keeping doors open and windows open at times is also important to get the air out. We know how important that is. Our health wing is something that's brand new. So in our health wing, in addition to our health wing, I'll talk more about that, our health bay, we also put some changes in our nurse's office, including a hands-free faucet for the sink that's installed in Cassie's bathroom. SmartPass is an app that will be downloaded on every single iPad, and that will allow us to track which kids are in the hallway, which kids are using the bathroom, so we have an accurate amount of where kids are. Drinking fountains are covered up, and I will show you that with a garbage bag. So the only part that can be used is the water bottle filler station. And I'll have this in the Royal Herald, but we ask that all kids bring their own water bottle. And they can bring their own water bottle, and they can fill up water that way. We have hand sanitizer dispensers throughout the building. When students come in, they're going to gel in and gel out. We'll also teach proper hand washing. That's a big thing. I talked a little bit about, not fully being 6 feet apart and having the plexiglass dividers. I already mentioned this. We have signs as well. I will show you those. Lunch and breakfast. Okay. So lunch and breakfast is one thing. Unfortunately, not every desk is entirely 6 feet apart in our cafeteria, and that is why we go back to using the shields, the dividers, and then it's also important that we get kids to eat outside when we can as well. And so that's also something that we're looking at. So we have the cafeteria and the RLC room where kids will be eating their lunch. They will be eating based on their cohort. So when they walk down to lunch, they will be walking down in their cohort. They will be sitting next to kids that are in their cohort. It's really important that whoever they're sitting next to in their cohort is also who they're sitting next to, so we can effectively contact trace. I know this isn't ideal, and I know kids have other people they'd rather sit next to, but like I said, we want to do everything we can to do this safely. Okay. Students will be expected to maintain social distancing. Let's see. Yep, we talked about that. Okay. There's a couple parts here that will be changing. We are not going to be having kids go in the gym right now. And part of that is we want kids to go directly to their cohorts when they get there. So, as you know, we changed our start time, which means that from 7:30 to 8 o'clock is when breakfast will be held. Now, we know that there are parents that because of that, they have to work at a certain time. They're not able to get their kids there anytime between 7:30 and 8, and they have to drop them off earlier. That's okay. However, we ask if you can, if you're able to, try to drop them off after 7:30, but we will have supervision between 7 and 7:30 in the cafeteria. When kids get here, they will go straight to the cafeteria if they get here before 7:30. After 7:30, they will go straight to their cohort classroom. All right. I'm going to show you what this looks like. Screening. All staff are screened every day. They must come through the building, and I'm going to walk you that way, actually. The symptoms is going to be a big thing. So let me go through. Here's what I'm going to do. Since it's 7:30, I'm going to go through the building right now, and then we'll come back and cover symptoms because I'm afraid that the symptoms and the health might take a little longer. So let me add this on my phone and put my mask on. Hold on a sec. I apologize for the people that are in the waiting room. I wish if anyone knows how to help me, just let everyone in. If I can change my waiting room. Terry, they can go as early as 7 o'clock if they go straight to their, not to their, sorry, Terry, they wouldn't go to their cohort. They wouldn't go to their cohort until 7:30. All right. All right, guys. Can you hear me? So I am walking. Hello, excuse me. I'm going to walk to one of our classrooms. Before I do that, I'm going to show you let's see. All right, so this is our health bay. Used to be our conference will be isolated. When they have COVID symptoms, they will come down here. All right. So that's on one side. And here's the other. So we have essentially 4 different holding areas. And then we also have 2 more back here and then a bed here. So this whole area. We have these signs as well. Okay. So here is a classroom. This is Frassati room. So this is the Frassati cohort. There will be 20 students in this room. And you can kind of see how it looks. Now, we are still working on getting something that just moves these a little bit here. That way, students can put their full book on there. So we are going to be moving them a little bit. All right. All right, so the lockers will be zip tied. They're cleaning right now, so there's not a whole lot to see, but we will have a inspirational quote every 6 lockers, as much 6 feet as possible. So we're encouraging our students, of course, the importance of being 6 feet apart. So I'm gonna head up to our new band room and our new choir room, because those are a little different. Give me a second here. Okay. Also, when you come into the office, we have these signs here. Please stand here, 6 feet apart. Plexiglass here for all of our students. Okay. Another thing is these will be covered up. We'll have a garbage bag over this, and then this will be a water filler station for those that are filling up their water bottles. We're getting rid of that, don't worry. Okay. So you see we have hand sanitizer stations here. Well, let's go in the old band room. This used to be the band room. This is now the Oscar Romero room. Okay, so whoever's in, it's a 7th grade cohort room. And this is what this room looks like. Now, we don't have the dividers on there yet. We got to get those. Well, we have them. We just haven't put them on there. Okay. Still some last minute things to do yet. Okay. Here's the band room. So the band room is, we still have to fully set it up, but essentially this is where, this used to be Mr. Keston's room, and this will now be where we have our small group ensembles as well. We'll make sure the windows are open. We're also going to encourage that we have our kids go outside as well. Ms. Grippo has been working extremely hard on that. No one will be going into our computer room. Anything. Let's see. Just want to show you our choir room. All right. So choir. Still working on it, but this kind of gives you, this used to be, this was room 208 or right across from the library. So library is right here. And then this is where the choir room is. Okay. It's upstairs. All right. I'm going to head down to the cafeteria so you can see that. One second. Did you guys see me go throughout the building? You did? Okay.
Yes.
No, we missed it. Can you go back around again?
Funny.
Just kidding.
Now you can. All right, guys. So I'm downstairs, and here is the cafeteria. Okay. So all of our desks are 6 feet apart. Well, sorry, they're not 6 feet apart. They're close to 6 feet apart. We do have dividers as well. Our goal is to try to get them to go on here like this. So obviously they'll take their mask off and eat. Okay. And then we have some more back here as well. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So students will be walking down in their cohorts, and there will be a very, very structured regimen as they go through the line and as we sit them down. Again, they're going to be sitting next to those other students that they are next to in their cohort. All right, so I'm going to head to my office, and then I'm going to go through the health and safety portion and answer any other questions that I can. I know Diane and Angie are typing away, and there's probably some that I will need to answer, which I appreciate your patience. All right. Okay, so I'm back, and we're going to go back and back to this. I didn't say that for screening purposes, our teachers are coming on the side of the building where the buses are, so they're going to be parking in that back lot. So this entire parking lot up here is going to be vacant, and it's going to be vacant for a couple of reasons, and we'll talk mainly in regards to drop off and pickup. Okay, so people with COVID-19 have had a wide range of symptoms reported, ranging from mild symptoms to severe illness. So people with these symptoms may have COVID. So if students and staff members have one of these high-risk symptoms and two of these low-risk symptoms, we ask that they remain home and they're advised to please seek an evaluation from their healthcare provider. Now, if someone typically has a runny nose because of allergies, those types of things, if these symptoms are common and normal, that would be different, but they are not common, that would be a sign for you to stay home. If a staff or student exhibits COVID-19 has a positive test or has been identified and being in close contact, they will follow this rule. They will be home 10 days plus from the start of symptoms and must be fever-free for 24 hours without the use of medication. Now, there's a difference between quarantining and isolating. If a student or staff member has to quarantine means that you are in close contact of someone that has a positive COVID-19 test, okay? If you were within close contact with someone, and close contact is 6 feet for 15 continuous minutes, consecutive minutes, okay? So it's not if I'm talking to Joe and I'm within 6 feet and then I go away and then I come back and then if you add all that together, it's 15 minutes. No, it's consecutive 15 minutes, okay? And that is why our hope is that with the cohorts, that the students that are next to each other, those would be the ones that would quarantine if a student were to get COVID, not the entire class, okay? That is the whole hope of putting students next to tracking where students are sitting. Okay, so when there is a negative COVID-19 test, you will then return to school after 24 hours with no fever. And also, if you go to a healthcare provider and you have an alternate diagnosis and it's not COVID, you will also return if there's positive. I kind of talked about that already. So what will we do? We will notify the public health department. We will then identify the close contacts. And that is when I will be working very closely along with Cassie, our school nurse, with the Linn County Health Department. And one of the questions that I've gotten a lot is, will parents know when there's a COVID case? And the answer to that is absolutely. We will actually, my plan is to post something on our building that shows when the last time, when our COVID case was. So if it's on this day, I know some of the daycares have done that. And, you know, I know my boys go to St. Pius and I know they've only had one case and they opened up in June and they've done a really good job over there. And so what's really important is that we communicate that to all of our parents. Now, for confidentiality purposes, we will not communicate who that person is. We may communicate enough details to make you a little more satisfied as to what you want to do with your child if you wish to switch to the online at that time. Like I said, everyone has a choice that they can make once a quarter. Okay. One thing that we are telling our staff is our staff considered essential workers, and through the archdiocese and the lawyers throughout the archdiocese have advised us that it is best, and we also feel that if any of our staff members have been within close contact of someone, we are recommending that they quarantine and not come to school and work. Okay. If a staff member is quarantined, meaning they were within someone that tested positive, they can still teach from home. They can still work from home, and that is what will happen. Is if they're quarantined, they will work from home. If they're isolated and they're feeling up to it, they will also teach from home. If not, they will have a sub, and the sub will be responsible. Let me look at, just want to make sure, chat box here. So students, Rennell students will be wearing their masks only. They do not need to wear the shield and the mask. Every single student is provided a shield, but they only need to wear the mask. I'm going to work through. In terms of all the students it is in your child's cohort, just like for FERPA reasons, we're not going to do that. We wouldn't do that in a normal situation and tell you all the kids that are in a class. That is a violation of FERPA. So no, we will not do that. We will tell the kids which cohort they are in before they arrive to school, so they will know. And our goal is to have that out by Friday. But kids will not know who is in their cohort until they arrive, just like most days or most school years. Okay, so temperature checks will be taken at home for all students. We are asking that you take this very seriously, and you are taking the temperature of your kids at home. We are not screening them. And we also ask that if you were within close contact of someone that has tested positive, please contact us immediately so we can follow the necessary protocols to ensure your child's safety and the safety of everyone in the building. So Amy, the schedule, we're going to be sending out a schedule that kind of will make a little more sense in terms of Power School is a little difficult or different because of a block schedule, and it looks a little different on Power School. So we are actually having Kelly Nachman, our guidance secretary, and Angie, as well as our new counselor, work on a way to get you a clear way of seeing what a schedule looks like and the timing and all those types of things. And we plan on getting that out to you before the first day of school. Yeah, Kelly. So, yeah, if a student has to stay home for any other reason, for health, sorry, can they try online for the day? Absolutely. Ultimately, if a student is quarantined or isolated, they can definitely join in. But that's why we're having a recording for each class, because if a kid's sleeping all day because they're sick, that's not fair to not have that lesson not recorded if they might not be able to be back in the building right away. So that is why we also have a recording. So absolutely. So we are giving temperature checks after lunch. We are not doing temperature checks to enter the building because we believe that we have to be on the same page. Parents have to try to do their part as well as us doing our part. Our teachers and our staff have worked incredibly hard to meet parents in the middle. We're asking that you meet us in the middle as well. And please, for the safety of our kids, please help us out with that. Also, due to the staggered times of when everyone gets here in the building, it is very difficult to do temperature checks and screening checks from 7 to 8 for all of our buildings with no busing and staggered times and all of those types of things when our teacher contracts are at a different time. There will be no middle school sports for first quarter. We will evaluate as we go. We will still have the fall play, First Tech Challenge, Robotics Club, as well as the mock trial. Those will be online competitions, but we will have practices, and the coaches will communicate that to the kids. Practices will be either before school or after school, and they will be socially distanced. If you are interested in robotics, then you can, that's correct, no volleyball or football. If you're interested in robotics, you can go ahead and email Heather Feller. I will put her email address in here now. Nope, already there. Let's see, a student out for appointments. Those will be, all of that information is shared in the Royal Herald, or I'm sorry, in the Wednesday update that we sent out today. So I would look for that email. If you haven't received that email, we're going to send out some more information on that as well. Cassie Wessels is the person who would be the person to talk on that and how that process works. And that's our school nurse. Yep. No problem. You got it. So for music, we have Ms. Kaya Snow is okay. We did not talk about bringing a beach towel to sit on for more outdoor seating, but that's a great idea. I know that's what the Holy Family is doing over there, and I think that's something that we should definitely encourage. If you want to bring a beach towel, like I said, we are going to, if it's nice out, get the kids out on the outside as much as we can. Yes, that is definitely something that we can explore. Thank you. I am not going to go through any other details in terms of, I've kind of gone through this. I'm not going to read this word for word. I've talked about, in terms of the Catholicity, we are still going to have masses and then prayer services, and those will be online for families as well as our students. So we'll have one class at a time be in the gym, and then everyone else will be in their classes watching those. So for pickup and drop off, we are in the process of putting together some more detailed information on that. So please stay tuned. Like I said, things are changing, ever evolving. So I appreciate your patience and your grace. We're going to be making some changes to this, and I will make sure that those are noted when we send out notification on Friday. And I know there was a question in regards to knowing a schedule by Monday. We're hoping that we can have those schedules known by Friday and not Monday. Yes, we'll have a new school year calendar. Honestly, the only dates that changed on the school year calendar right now are the beginning days. We haven't necessarily changed conferences or anything else right now. So nothing else has changed. And we can't change Labor Day, so that stays the same. No, days are not being added to the end of the year. As of now, that from the communication that we have gotten when we got together as administrators and working with the Archdiocese. And again, if those days do change, we will keep in contact with you guys and let you know. Let's see. Okay, so if kids can't get picked up right away, essentially we're going to have supervision after school from 3 to 5, and we will be they will be out by the tennis court area when it's nice, and then they will be downstairs in the cafeteria when it is a little chilly out. Yes, so online students will receive art supplies and other materials from the school, and we will give those when you get your iPads. So the online students, the first day, they will essentially log in, and we're going to send all that information out on Monday, but essentially they're going to be able to log in and join their cohort class. Once the first class will have a Zoom for each class, and they'll be able to join in and join with introductions. Yes, before and after school, kids can definitely have their cell phones. They can definitely walk home as well. So only incoming 6th graders and new 7th and 8th grade students will get their iPad tomorrow. Yes. So for parent class, for PE classes, kids will essentially, they're going to be grouped, like when they do their stretching and those types of things, they're going to be in the same seating arrangement as they are in their cohorts. And then Mr. Halter is going to be, he's going to be supervising. Only 5 kids are allowed in the locker room at a time to change. And then he has a sticker system that he will use as well. And then when those kids are changed, they'll come up, and then the other kids will go down, and then we'll make sure that the other kids are supervised up here in the gym. Yeah, so you can change to in school at any time. If you want to start off, if you want to start off in the building and change to online, you can do that. If you want to start off online and go to in the building, you can do that. We're asking that you do that at least once, just once. We don't want you going back and forth and back and forth. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask me, not on the chat, feel free. I'm going to, if you can unmute yourself, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I will hang out for people that want to ask any other questions. I know this was all over the place. My head has been all over. It's been quite the week, so I appreciate your patience and your grace.
Dismissal's at 3:10, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oops.
So cohorts will be the same for the quarter. We don't know what the year is going to be like. So we're gonna plan on having the cohorts be the same. I would say definitely the quarter, if not the first semester, for scheduling reasons. And that is why, obviously we're going to do our best to teach kids to be resilient. And that is why we have a school counselor here as well. And there's a lot of challenges with that, I know. Yeah, so great question, Terry. They are not going to just gather together. Dismissal will be, our teachers are not going to be in their classrooms after school. They're going to be supervising kids outside, okay? And so our kids will be grouped in their cohorts, socially distanced as they wait for their ride. And I'm going to have that in communication sent out on Friday. You'll get a lot of information on Friday again, so kind of you can soak it in over the weekend. And there will be a specific location. There are going to be 3 areas where we'll have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And so we're going to be utilizing Prairie Drive. We're going to be utilizing the tennis courts over here, and we're also going to be utilizing this main area as well, in the main front entrance. Study tables are not going to be happening right now for the sole fact that we don't have sports right now, and our teachers are going to be supervising, doing a lot of supervision. So that is going to be the primary.
I have a question. I have a returning 7th grader, but did not get an iPad in 6th grade last year. So I'm a bit confused about how we can get that. Should I reach out to Mr. Safari?
Okay, so no one has, everyone is getting an iPad this year, and 6th grade did not receive iPads last year. 7th grade did not receive iPads this year. And so all of the students will be getting iPads on the first day of school. And Mr. Savari is at Xavier now.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Colleen, yes, that is a.
Are the kids staying home?
Sorry, go ahead, Stephanie. Say that again. Stephanie, you can share it.
Okay, sorry. For the kids staying home, for like gym and music and art, how will they do that online? Like especially the gym, that kind of thing, and be graded for it.
Yes. So that has been something that I've been working with the teachers on trying to be creative. And so more information will be shared as we're collaborating the next couple of days. And I don't have immediate answers for you right now because some of that is just ever changing as we've been learning more about what other schools are doing and how can we best accommodate that. So
Okay.
wish I had an
And,
answer, but we're working on it.
and also, if they need, so like, I know you've met my son and he's
Yeah.
coming, you know what like math group he would be in, but for extra help on that, do you just reach out to the teacher and work with them on how that might work if they do need extra help?
Yep. So Stephanie, I know with Angie Cummings will be someone that is going to be a huge resource. So she is not only our lead teacher, but she's our learning coach. So she's going to be responsible for working with maybe students that would traditionally be in our ACE or resource room. Also students that have 504s or accommodation plans. And then in conjunction, she'll be working with our school counselor to make sure that our kids' needs are being met. And so, yes, the first contact would be setting up a time with the teacher to work on things. But if additional help is needed, then Angie, Miss Cummings, would be someone that would set up some time to work with him.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Do we know how dismissal will work? How do we know what area they will be standing in?
That will be, I'm going to put we're working on putting all that information on Friday. Like I
Okay.
said, trying to get it all rounded out. There's just so many little details that you think you have it all figured out, and then just, there's so many little things. So we'll have that sent out on Friday. Yeah, Joseph, I think that's okay. Like I said, if you don't have any other questions, feel free to head out, and you can certainly email me or email Ms. Cummings as well. And I'm going to put our email addresses here. Absolutely. Kids will have opportunities to socialize. We have a brain break after lunch where we're going to get kids to go outside. I think kids will be able to, they're going to be able to socialize and communicate to each other, even though it looks like they're going to be like in a box and they're not going to be. They will. It'll look a little different with having a mask on. But that's why we're also encouraging that our teachers get our students outside. And when they're outside, they can take a mask off and they can be 6 feet apart when they're outside. we're anxiously awaiting to see our kids. I can tell you that. I know the kids are excited too. There's also a lot of kids that are nervous too. So that's going to be a big priority for us as teachers, is really supporting all of our kids' emotional learning and getting them excited, getting them to laugh again, getting them excited to learn. We know they've been out of the building for 6 months, so it's been a long waiting period. Yes, Trish, I would contact, if you want to get involved in any way, I would contact Diane Clark, and she can definitely find a way to have you help. And then also Devin Sires, who is our chair for the parent organization. He is also someone that you can contact as well. And Diane can get you that email. So if you reach out to Diane, we can get you in contact with him. They will be with their cohort outside, not with other classes outside, no. So social distancing is going to be monitored by having staff at all times when they're in terms of during the school day when they're outside. We're also going to do our absolute best in monitoring that after school, which is why we're going to have different locations of where we want kids. The hard part does become, there's only so much that we can control. So we're going to do our absolute best to have supervision in places that we can. Yes, so the precaution for gym class is there's a limited amount of students that can change at one time. And so they will have changing stations, and Mr. Halter has that, spaced out where they will change. So they will go in there, they will change, they'll all be spaced out as they change, and they will come out, and then they'll do the next 5.
Are they going to wear masks for gym?
We were talking about that today, and if we can get the kids outside, obviously no, but to start, we're being safer than usual. So Mr. Halter, we're trying to figure that out right now. Some places are not. I think Xavier isn't. So right now, yes, but that, like I said, that could change.
Oh, possibly.
Yep.
For the online students and they are turning in assignments, are they going to turn them in via the computer, or are they gonna like fax them in or scan them in and then send them into the teacher? How is that gonna work?
So most assignments would be online, but for those that are not, that information would be communicated via the teacher, because each teacher might have a different mode of collecting that. So that will be determined during the first week of school, and the teachers will communicate how they'll do that.
Okay.
Thanks, Amy. It's been a long summer. And I will reiterate to parents and families, we're doing our absolute best, and there's no perfect solution to any of this, but we're going to do our absolute best to keep our kids safe, and in hopes of trying to get some sense of routine and normalcy for our families. I also ask that you show our teachers grace, as this, although we've had all summer to prepare, it is still very difficult with all the changing things that have happened, especially the derecho has caused some extra challenges. So like I said, give our teachers some grace. They will too be working. They have worked extremely hard to prepare for this as well. Grace, 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 grace. Need a lot of it. And I appreciate you guys for giving me grace too. And all the prayers and everyone I'm very appreciative of you. And thank you for choosing Regis. So for those people that are still on, I know some of you guys are just looking through questions that might be that you might have going through the Return to Learn plan. Or if you're just watching, as some other people might have questions too.
How many are in each cohort? And maybe I missed it, but will we know as parents the group of cohorts that our child in?
So you will know the cohort that your child is in. You won't know the kids that is in that cohort until the first day. We're not going to give a list of those kids just for confidentiality and FERPA reasons, but your kid will probably tell you who's in there. And then what was the other one? You had another.
How many are in each cohort?
So each cohort some are 19 and 20 kids. Our largest one is 27, I believe. But that is in a large room. That was in our choir room, I believe, our old choir room. So it is very, very large. Actually, no, that one might have been in our larger RLC room upstairs. But for the big cohorts, we have bigger rooms for them. In terms of what is our max, we really don't want to have all of our cohorts be 25. 25 is max, and some of the room capacity can't go any bigger because of the rooms. We don't want to cramp kids in our rooms.
Right.
Yes, Joseph, great. So the difference between isolating and quarantining is quarantining means if you are within close contact of someone that tested positive for COVID. And close contact would mean within 6 feet for 15 consecutive minutes. Isolating is you have COVID and you are isolating or you have COVID-like symptoms, Isolating is you've tested positive for COVID-19 and you are isolating for 10 days plus all the guidance that's in there.
I have another question. I'm picking up the iPad on Friday, but I want to know, do I also pick up his art supplies that day too when I come in? Because we're not going to the social tomorrow.
Yes, I can. I will talk to Diane about that, and I'll talk to Jerica about that. And we'll make sure that he gets those art supplies.
And then does he have to come in with me? Because I was planning on leaving him home.
No, he does not.
Okay.
Well, he's getting the iPad, so if Mr. Eichhorn is going to meet with him and wants to go over some of the basics things. Has he met Mr. Eichhorn before?
No.
Okay, so I would recommend that he does come. That way he can meet him and talk.
Okay.
Hey, Andrea, great question. I would recommend that we refer to the graph for that one. So if they have if it looks like runny nose and a fever, if they have 2 of the low symptoms or 1 of the high symptoms, they recommend to stay home. So really it's not just tested, it's and that whole graph goes through everything you need to know, and it might take a little bit to kind of read it, but the graph does a really good job of reiterating all of those guidelines. So no, to answer your question, will not need to be tested prior to returning to school. But we'll need a doctor's note. Thank you. I'm glad it could help.
To follow up with Andrea's question about when they return to school, you mentioned needing a doctor's note. Is that even if they just have some mild symptoms, they need a doctor's note to return?
Yeah, so let me refer to, hold on 1 second. Yes, they will need a doctor's note to return, especially if they have COVID-like symptoms. And part of that, if I can pull this up. Is okay. Part of that goes back to the document that has the graph. This is going to be something that you're just going to have, we're going to have to refer to constantly. So you always start off with the symptom list, because within that 2 to 14 days, anyone could get COVID. And these are the symptoms. So if you have 2 of these low risk symptoms and 1 of the high risk symptoms, number 1, we ask that you remain home for sick. You remain home when sick until symptoms disappear for 24 hours. And please be evaluated by a healthcare provider and turn the doctor's note in if you have at least 2 of those low risk symptoms and 1 of the high risk. Now, it is discretion, of course, obviously, if everyone's situation is different. But we want to do everything we can to mitigate this and keep everyone safe. All right, so I'm just going to be on here for 2 more minutes, and then I'm going to end the call. And if you still have questions, please feel free to email them. No problem. Thanks, Jacqueline. As soon as it hits 8:34, I'm hitting end.
All right. See you tomorrow.
See you. Thank you, guys.